Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. And for this presentation, I'll provide a quick overview about program evaluation and educational research, or PEER, and our role in assisting UCF faculty and those from other organizations in the evaluation process. I'll share a little bit about the projects we're involved in and our evaluation approach for making a positive difference. My name is Bonnie Swan, and I've had the pleasure of serving as the director for PEER since 2006. PEER is housed in the College of Community Innovation and Education at UCF. The group was first established in 2003 and later became an approved service center in 2009. Our group is made up of involved faculty, graduate research assistants, college interns, and content experts. Depending on the number of contracts we have, the number of staff we involve at PEER differs from year to year. For example, last year, we worked on 23 unique projects involving 5 faculty members and 8 graduate research assistants. Most of the projects we evaluate are funded by the NSF, the U.S. Department of Education, or the CDC. But we also have experience evaluating projects funded by the NASA, the U.S. Department of Labor, Department of Justice, and more. And as you might imagine, with all those different sponsors, projects that we evaluate differ widely, but they all involve some type of education component. Next slide. PEER's mission is to provide a service in performing high-quality evaluations and related educational research services, and we do this for community agency programs and other sponsored programs. And while most of our work is for conducting evaluations for UCF projects, we also serve as an evaluator for some state agencies and other Florida colleges, universities, and school districts. Next slide. And so why do we do this? Well, since our country has limited resources to solve all of our social problems, many programs funded by the federal government have a strong emphasis on evaluation and accountability, you might imagine, right? PEER serves as an independent evaluator, sort of a guide on the side or a critical friend in helping gather information about a project as it is rolling out. And we also provide timely feedback to help drive improvement. A lot of what I do as an evaluator results in writing reports that go to the project's principal investigators, who in turn share this with other stakeholders, including the sponsor. Next slide. PEER provides a vital service for its clients in that most must have an independent evaluation component included in their project plan. So far, we have been involved in driving the success of over 60 million in educational programs in Florida. We keep really busy. And I would say that not only are PEER's efforts necessary from the sponsor's perspective of a grant, but more importantly, they're useful from our client's perspective. They're balanced between, number one, helping to improve a project that's being carried out. Number two, documenting the accomplishments of a project and how closely that resembles what is planned from a third-party perspective. And then number three, documenting how well project goals are being met and providing recommendations for how to improve. Next, I'll tell you a little bit about how we fit in with the project. So these next 2 slides will show you from left to right the typical life of a project. This slide is about assessing program implementation. The next slide is on assessing program results. Here you can see on the top left of the chart where the PI, our client, will start to develop a project plan. And usually this is in response to a call for proposals generated from one of the agencies I mentioned earlier. A short time later, they'll call PEER to help them determine, do I really need an external evaluator? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And if so, we will provide feedback for the development of an education plan, or excuse me, an evaluation plan. Having a strong plan for evaluation is really important because when it is required, a good one will make a proposal more competitive. Then later, once a project is funded, Pier will conduct process and implementation evaluation. And this involves gathering evidence for project activities as they are carried out. Sample evidence for this could include participant database, feedback from program staff, meeting notes, a review of content being developed, evidence of dissemination efforts or patents or other research outputs generated by a project, and well, whatever other evidence we agree to. We also gather feedback from different groups to broaden perspective about what's working well and what can improve. And for this, we might do surveys or a focus group with students enrolled in a project, or perhaps interviews with facilitators of a project, or rubrics completed by mentors. Research designs for conducting process and implementation evaluation are generally descriptive, and they use a mixture of research methods. But let me emphasize, every project is different. Next slide. So now we're here toward the end of a project's life cycle, evaluating program results. And this is when we'll conduct outcome or impact evaluation to obtain findings for how well a project is on track for meeting its goals. Projects will typically span 1 to 5 years. So this process can repeat as a project evolves. So if you can imagine, instead of linear, like this going from left to right, that process will really loop and start over. This could involve multiple cohorts of participants, like in a program of study, for example, at UCF, where the cycle will repeat again and again until the program or project ends. Outcome evaluation involves looking at how well a project's intended outcomes and standards are being met. We will look at questions, evaluation questions, sort of like research questions, like, is a project on track for meeting its goals? Are learning objectives being met? Are the students satisfied? What's working well? What can you improve? How effective is the recruitment process for reaching the targeted group or count? And then what critical components of the project can or should be sustained beyond the project funding period? Often a sponsor will expect that a program continues afterwards, so we look at that. Evaluators ask a lot of questions, but we also answer them. The research approach for these can be highly participatory, like some of what I mentioned from the previous slide that involves a lot of stakeholders. Demonstrating some outcomes will usually involve some kind of post or pre-post type measure or combination of measures. And then impact evaluation may also involve a more rigorous comparison group design or quasi-experiment. Next slide. So just to summarize, evaluation services typically involve process and outcome evaluation, and they use a variety, or we use a variety of approaches for that. Evaluators write a lot of reports. Last year I counted 70 reports we generated at Pier. Some of these are really small. For example, with some timely results you might want to see from a survey. Others are more extensive, like our annual reports. And I also recommended getting an evaluator involved at the proposal stage if you need one for your project. Next slide. And here's my last slide. It's got a list of who we've served just recently. And this demonstrates a little bit more about how diverse our clients are and their projects might be, and I'll mention just a few of them. For example, we evaluated for a consortium of different Florida colleges, state colleges. We evaluated large Department of Labor TACT grants for creating much needed college credit certificates in IT and manufacturing across the state. And that helps meet employment needs in Florida. Another example is that we're teaming with a faculty member in the College of Medicine to evaluate the Florida Department of Health's colorectal cancer screening program sponsored by CDC. That has a heavy educational component. And we evaluate the state's rape prevention education programs statewide. One of those is right here at UCF, the Green Dot program that has a component for that. We evaluate a program for Orange County Public Schools for promoting adolescent health, and we evaluate projects run by faculty in my college for improving preparation of teachers serving English language learners in K-12 schools. And then we evaluate the NASA Miro Center at FIU, aimed at improving STEM education and more. And we've evaluated many projects for the College of Engineering and Computer Science. For example, NSF-REUs, I think we're evaluating 3 of those this summer, and an STEM project that's being carried out, and then the new Cyber Core Scholarship for Services project that was recently awarded, and we're really excited about that. Final slide. And so this gets us to the end of the presentation. I hope I've left you better informed about evaluation and peer, and thank you so much.